I'm 38, and my wife is 39. We got married young, right after college at 22. Next month would have been our 16th anniversary. We have 3 kids, our 17-year-old son who's in his first year of university, and 2 13-year-old daughters. Life was pretty normal until recently. My wife and I both work, and we've always encouraged each other to have our own interests. She's into painting and tennis, while I enjoy woodworking and hiking. But lately, something hasn't felt right. For the past few months, there's been this weird feeling I can't shake off. My wife seems different, not completely, but enough for me to notice. Even when we're together, watching TV or having dinner, it feels like she's somewhere else in her mind. I've asked her several times if everything's okay, but she always says everything's fine. We still do our usual Sunday morning breakfast dates, but even those feel different now. She's there physically, but her mind seems far away. I didn't want to think anything was wrong, but about 6 months ago, she started spending more time away from home. She used to be so excited about everything, always planning family activities, but that spark seemed to fade. About 3 weeks ago, things got even stranger. Instead of being away, she suddenly started spending all her time at home. She would come to my home office and just sit there, looking sad. What's weirder is that our twin daughters started acting unusually nice to me. They began doing chores without being asked and bringing me coffee in the morning. Definitely not normal teenager behavior. It felt like they all knew something I didn't. 2 months ago, I noticed something odd on our phone bill. Hundreds of texts between my wife and a number I didn't recognize. When I asked her about it, she said it was her friend from tennis class. But when I checked her phone later, there were no texts from that number. She said she deleted them to free up space, but none of her other message threads were deleted. Yesterday, I couldn't take it anymore and called my son at university. I told him everything that was happening at home. He's always been good at getting his sisters to talk. They respect him a lot and know better than to lie to him. He promised to talk to them. This morning, he called back. He's coming home this weekend to talk in person, but he wouldn't tell me what the twins said. All he mentioned was that it's bad news, but there's some good news too. He made me promise not to tell anyone he's coming home, especially not his mom or sisters. I feel sick to my stomach. From what I've read online about similar situations, I have a terrible feeling about what might be going on. My son was being very careful with his words on the phone, clearly wanting to discuss whatever it is face-to-face rather than over a call. The wait until the weekend feels endless. Every time I look at my wife now, I wonder what she's hiding. The twins are still being overly nice to me, and it's making everything feel worse. How did my seemingly perfect life turn into this mess of secrets and suspicion? I keep thinking about all the signs I might have missed. Was I too trusting? Too busy with work to notice things changing? The unknown number on the phone bill keeps haunting me. Who could it be? Why would she need to delete all those messages if they were just innocent conversations with a friend? All I can do now is wait for my son to come home this weekend. But every minute feels like an hour, and every hour feels like a day. I catch myself watching my wife when she thinks I'm not looking, trying to read her expression, trying to understand what could be making her act this way. The twins keep exchanging glances when they think I'm not paying attention. Our home, which used to feel so comfortable and safe, now feels like it's full of secrets waiting to come out. The weekend arrived faster than I expected. My son came home while my wife was at her painting class. As soon as he walked in, I knew from his face that whatever he had to tell me wasn't good. We sat down in my office, and he told me everything. The person my wife was texting wasn't a tennis friend. It was Mike, one of our closest friends who we've known for years. The same Mike who comes to our summer barbecues with his wife. The same Mike who helped me build our deck last year. The twins had caught them together at a coffee shop when they were supposed to be at school. They had a half day that my wife didn't know about. They saw their mom kissing Mike in his car in the parking lot. They were so shocked they didn't know what to do. When they confronted her later that day, she broke down and told them everything. According to what she told the girls, it wasn't serious, just a fun distraction that got out of hand. She said she and Mike enjoyed feeling young again, sneaking around like teenagers. She didn't think about how it would affect everyone else. My wife had ended things as soon as the twins caught her. She made them promise not to tell me, saying it would hurt me too much. She told them she would carry the guilt herself rather than destroy our family. The twins, confused and scared, agreed at first. But when my son called them, they couldn't keep it in anymore. They told him everything, and he was furious. He was angry at our mom for the affair, but even more angry that she put this burden on his sisters. After hearing everything, I packed a bag. My wife was home by then, and when she saw me with the bag, she collapsed on the floor crying. I walked out anyway. I turned off my phone's location and drove to a small motel about 2 hours away. My son came to visit me at the motel the next day. We talked for hours. He said he wasn't really surprised. He's always seen how our mom jumps from one thing to another. One month it's painting, next month it's tennis, then it's meditation or some new diet. He said maybe this was just another one of her phases, but this time she went too far. The twins keep texting me, worried I won't come back. My son had to go back to university, and now I'm alone in this motel room, trying to figure out what to do next. I'm 38 years old, thought I had everything figured out, and now I'm starting over. My wife found a way to message me. She wrote, "I know what I did was terrible, but please come home. We can fix this. 20 years of marriage is worth fighting for. I made a stupid mistake, but you're the only one I truly love. But here's my problem. I know I could probably forgive her eventually, but I don't know if I can look at myself in the mirror if I do. My friend Tom says I should think about it, that a guy my age with a good job and in decent shape won't have trouble meeting someone new. But honestly, I don't want to think about other women right now." I extended my stay at the motel. The hiking trails nearby help clear my head. I'm working remotely, so at least that's not an issue. I keep my phone off most of the day, only turning it on at night to let the kids know I'm okay. I prefer texting the twins. They're like most teenagers, more comfortable with messages than calls. Even through text, I can tell my wife is going into her fix-it mode. She's probably reading every self-help book she can find, making plans and strategies. That's how she always handles problems. Like they're puzzles that just need the right solution. But this isn't a puzzle. This is our life, my life, and I don't know if it can be fixed. It's been 2 weeks at the motel now. I allow my wife one short call each evening, mostly to keep peace in the family. But I keep these calls brief. I still can't handle hearing her voice for too long. With the kids, I stick to texting. It's easier that way. The problem I keep coming back to is this. I know I could forgive her, but I don't think I could respect myself if I did. I've always believed that self-respect is important. If I go back, I feel like I'd be giving that up. It's like having to choose between my marriage and my self-worth. I tried explaining this to my wife during one of our short calls. I told her that if I came back, I wouldn't be the same person she says she loves. I'd be someone who gave up his self-respect to keep his marriage. She started talking about how we could work through it, how her love for me never changed, how Mike meant nothing. I cut her off and asked a simple question. If our marriage was so great, why did you do it? She went quiet after that. The twins are handling it differently. The older twin keeps sending me pictures of what she's cooking, trying to show me she's taking care of things at home. The younger one sends me random memes throughout the day, probably trying to make me laugh. I make sure to respond to both of them, letting them know none of this is their fault. My wife's been busy. She figured out I was using cash to avoid her tracking my credit cards. I got notifications that someone tried accessing my accounts. That's exactly why I've been careful. I know her. If she found out where I was staying, she'd show up with a whole plan to fix everything. Tom keeps telling me I should start thinking about dating again, that there are plenty of women who'd be interested in a guy like me. But that's the last thing on my mind right now. Actually, being alone doesn't sound bad. The idea of doing whatever I want, whenever I want, has its appeal. No compromises, no explanations needed. Yesterday, I finally had a long talk with my wife. I told her I made my decision. We can't fix this. Not in a way that lets me keep my dignity. She tried arguing, saying we could go to counseling, that people overcome affairs all the time. But I stood firm. I explained that this isn't about forgiveness. It's about being able to look at myself in the mirror every morning. It's about knowing that I stood up for myself when it mattered most. She finally seemed to understand. For the first time since this all started, she didn't try to convince me otherwise. We agreed to start divorce proceedings. It was surprisingly calm when we made this decision. Maybe because we both knew, deep down, that there was no going back. The hardest part was telling the twins. They cried, but I promised them I'd always be there. I told them that sometimes being a good parent means showing your kids that self-respect matters more than comfort. I found an apartment today. It's nothing special, but it's a start. My son says he's proud of me for making this decision. The twins are sad but understanding. They've stopped being overly nice to me, which is actually a relief. I prefer their normal teenage attitude to that strange, guilty kindness. My wife asked me yesterday if I would ever forgive her. I told her I probably would, eventually. But forgiveness doesn't mean we have to stay married. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away, even from something you've spent half your life building. It's strange how life works. A month ago, I thought I knew exactly where I'd be in 5 years. Now, I have no idea what's ahead. But for the first time since this all started, I feel at peace with my decision. Sometimes standing alone is better than standing with someone who made you question your worth. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.